Right, guys, another video. Now that we've talked about what quadratic equations are, we need to look at how to solve them, different methods. It's a bit more in-depth, obviously, than linear equations because there's multiple solutions, so we need to make a start. We're going to start off with equations of the form x squared is equal to something, which we'll call k in this case. So let's have a think about the equation here, x squared is equal to 25. Obviously, if you wanted to work out what x is, you need to work out what the square root of 25 is, and that's going to be 5 is going to be your straight up answer because that's a number you're going to times together to get 25. So if I was to write that, x squared is 25, what's the opposite of squaring something? Square root of it, and x is going to be 5. The only problem is that because of negative numbers, there's actually another solution to that. Because there's another number that you can square to get 25. It's going to be negative 5. X squared is 25. X is the square root of 25. But it's also equal to the negative square root of 25. X is equal to negative 5. Because negative 5 times by negative 5 makes a positive answer. It's going to be positive 25 as well. So there's two solutions for two solutions. So when we're dealing with quadratic equations, you need to be aware of the possibility for multiple solutions. So you can write this as, can be written as x is equal to plus minus 5, which means plus or minus 5 is a solution, okay? So that leaves us some rules that you can apply for these kind of equations. If x squared is equal to a number, k, then x, the solution, is going to be plus or minus the square root of whatever k was. But that's only if k is greater than 0. So that's why the solution here was plus or minus 5, because it's plus or minus the square root of what k was, and k was 25. And that rule works because k was greater than 0, it was 25. If k is equal to 0, then x, the solution, is going to be 0. The only thing that you can square together to make 0 is going to be 0 itself. And the other weird one is that if k is less than 0, so if it's a negative number, there are no real solutions. So that real solutions bit becomes important if you're looking into doing specialist maths, that sort of thing, because there can be imaginary numbers, and that's where that comes into it, but we don't have to worry about that at this time. Versus square root of negative numbers, it's all weird, okay? Don't worry about that. Just remember the rule. If k is less than 0, then there are not going to be any real solutions for you to have to deal with. So let's run through some examples here. So you have to apply algebra, as you've always known, linear equations that you've done before, but then you have to apply these rules afterwards, okay? When you get to a point of the equation being x squared is equal to k, or x squared is equal to something. So we've got 3, take 2, x squared is equal to 7. I want to get x squared by itself. So the opposite of positive 3 is negative 3, so 3, take 3, take 2x squared. I need to take 3 from both sides to get rid of that positive 3. So we're going to have negative 2x squared is equal to 7, take 3 is 4. I need to get rid of this negative 2. The opposite of timesing something by negative 2 is dividing by negative 2, so divide both sides by negative 2, cancels. X squared is going to be 4 divided by negative 2. It's going to be negative 2. And then we are at this stage now. X squared is equal to k. If k is less than 0, there are no real solutions. K here is less than 0. So your answer would be there are no real solutions here, as k is less than 0. Okay, if say this was positive 2, then your answer would be plus or minus square root of 2, but in this case, because k, the number on the right hand side of x squared, was a negative number, it's less than 0, there are no real solutions. Alright, so just that's an application of that rule directly. Alright, so let's have a look at this. So right now you have x plus 1 squared is equal to 7. Alright, the opposite of squaring something is the square root, so x plus 1 is going to be plus or minus the square root of 7. Why did that happen? It's because this x plus 1 was all squared, and that x plus 1 in the brackets is essentially just the x here that's being squared. So I just applied this rule here to remove the square sign there. So now we have x plus 1 is equal to plus or minus square root of 7. What's the opposite of adding 1? Taking 1. So I need to take 1 from both sides. Minus square root of 7, take 1. And so you have x is going to be equal to, and it's preferred to write it in this order. You should always write the square roots at the end. You would write negative 1, because that's what we have here, a negative 1 term, and the plus or minus square root of 7 term. Negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 7. So it's either going to be, the answer is going to be either negative 1 plus square root of 7 or negative 1 take the square root of 7. I could chuck in another example here, because a lot of these have given weird solutions for you. Let's have one that gives like a nice straight answer. So solve for x. X take 2 squared is equal to 25. You'll notice that I'm just running through examples from the book, but I'm wording them for you. X take 2 squared is equal to 25. So I've noticed this is actually in the form of x squared is equal to k. The only thing is that the x is actually everything in the brackets. And we know that the opposite of squaring something is a square root. So to remove this squared sign on the left hand side, it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 25. So we're at that point now. You may understand that square root of 25 is actually 5. So x take 2 is equal to plus or minus 5. And then, what's the opposite of taking 2? Adding 2. So we need to add 2 to both sides. Plus or minus 5. Add 2. So x is going to be 2 plus or minus 5. 2 plus 5 is going to be 7. Or 2 minus 5 is going to be negative 3. So there's two solutions there, 7 or negative 3. So that's an example of solving equations of the form x squared is equal to k. Hopefully that helps you out, and I'll see you in the next video.